These two enclosures both have the same net volume of airspace, 4 cubic feet. They're both tuned to 36 Hz and they're both designed for 2 subwoofers. The one on the right uses a massive 6-inch wide port and one big 4 cubic foot chamber for both speakers. The one on the left has two smaller 2 cubic foot enclosures. The port opening is the same 6 inches, but this distance back here is 3. People usually want to know one of two things. One, of course, which one's going to sound better or give you more output. And the other common question is, if I've got my box design and it's a single port design, can I just slide the port over into the middle? The answer to the first question, you probably can't tell a difference. I'm not aware of any evidence that one is better than the other. If you'd like for me to build these two and compare them side by side, let me know down in the comments. But one thing you got to keep in mind is these are two very different enclosures. The one on the right is a 4 cubic foot enclosure. The one on the left is actually two 2 cubic foot enclosures. And you can see right here in this second port wall, the big single chamber box, that's a 12-inch long port wall. And the big double chamber box, that's a 12.5-inch long port wall. But it's more than just that, because the double chamber box is deeper at 23 inches than the single chamber box at 20.5 inches, which means this first port wall is also quite a bit longer. So the total port wall is longer in the box with the two smaller chambers. That's because as a box gets smaller, the port has to get longer, holding everything else constant to hit the same tuning frequency. So the double chamber box is going to have a larger gross volume and a longer port. So you can't just take existing plans for ones and move the port location to get the other one. In fact, this double chamber enclosure is the functional equivalent of this right here, which is two 2 cubic foot enclosures tuned to the same 36 Hz and completely separate. It's also the functional equivalent of this right here, which is the exact same enclosure but 3/4 of an inch wider, so there's room for a divider down the middle. All of these configurations on the screen are going to give you the same result because the math works out that it's just a bunch of different ways to connect 2 cubic foot boxes together. You can even put the ports on the outside. It will give you the exact same result. Okay, check this out. If you were to delete that center divider and shorten the enclosure by 3/4 of an inch, you would use the exact same port dimensions as if you had the divider. That's because when you add a second port, each port only tunes half of the enclosure. So if the net enclosure volume is 4 cubic feet like this one is right here, you would use the exact same port dimensions as if you had a 2 cubic foot box. And if you were to use 3 ports, each port only tunes 1/3 of the enclosure. That's a little fact that most people don't know. When I build boxes, I prefer to put multiple subwoofers in one really large chamber. One, I can make the box a little bit smaller so it's easier to fit in the car. And two, instead of having a pair of tall, skinny slot ports with a small hydraulic diameter, I can get one wide slot point with a large hydraulic diameter.